Hello. Chainsaw Man chapter 169 just dropped, and we are here to talk about it. So the chapter begins with the gang. They arrive in the sushi shop and they are greeted by a waiter, and Irashai just means welcome. And the waiter looks like he is dying inside, which is on point with how Kobeni was when she was working in the restaurant. So from this, we can kind of guess Fujimoto's attitude towards working in the restaurant, and not that great. But anyways, we move on to Denji getting seated, and he is so from this we see their conveyor belt sushi looks a lot more grandiose than what we usually get in real life, because in real life we have one row of sushi. We don't have many stories of sushi. So this is again a bit of a Fujimoto's how do you say it? Fujimoto in part two has been exaggerating a lot of buildings and structures to make it a lot more, I guess, overwhelming would be the word than it is in real life. So I guess this is Fujimoto's continuous theme here. But anyways, Denji takes a look around the sushi shop and he sees a I guess a recurring theme that he sees is that he sees a bunch of people that could have experienced um I guess some sexual experience, except the two kids. But he sees a couple, a young parent, a young family, a grandma, and a couple of, I guess, office guys, office working adults. So from Denji's perspective, he thinks that most of them probably has already experienced what he just experienced. As he's thinking about other people's hands, he we see a shot of the sushi chef working with his hands, fondling the sushi. And we then zooms into the tuna sushi. And as Denji thinks about the physical and emotional aspects of getting intimate with another person, because Denji recognizes that it doesn't feel as good physically as when he does it to himself, but he felt the intimacy of it. And ultimately, that's what Denji really want. He doesn't really want sex like for the sake of having it, but rather he wants deeper emotional connections. Ba-ba-ba. But anyways, we move on to this shot of the tuna sushi as Denji is thinking about getting intimate with others. And in Japanese, calling someone a tuna is like a slang for them being a very inactive in bed. And in some ways, it's how Asa and Yoru's attitudes towards this whole event from Denji's perspective. Because Yoru acted very nonchalant about it after the fact. So there is a double meaning to the tuna sushi here. And then Denji ponders on if he is happy about what just happened, because he is under a lot of confusion at the moment. And meanwhile, Asa asks to wait outside, partially because she can't eat fish. She doesn't like fish. They gross her out. But the more probable reason is maybe that she doesn't want to be near Denji because of all the awkwardness. To which Fami responded with ho ho ha hey ha fu ho he. I looked it up in Japanese to see what it means. It doesn't really mean anything, so she's really just speaking gibberish. Haruka notes that Akoku and the Nail Fiend are stuck in Asa's apartment. And again, Akoku is being pretty sketchy. And Nobana, he's eating the ginger only and not the sushi. And the ginger is something that sushi shops give you to cleanse your palate between each sushi so that you can kind of get the most out of the taste so you don't like dilute your taste with other sushis. But Nobana says that he doesn't know who was paying for the sushi, which is a great observation because none of anyone there seems like they would be paying for the meal. Denji doesn't have any money. Fami, Asa, none of them seems like they are really the paying type. And Katana Man, he doesn't look like he's sitting with them. So Nobana makes a great observation in that they're probably not paying for this meal. And he also notes the strangeness of Asa losing her arm but not really reacting to it. And this is where Barum just jumps in out of nowhere, takes a seat, and continues Nobana's train of thought in that he suggests animals don't feel sad when they lose their arms or legs. And they will just adapt and not feel, implying that Asa is something more beast-like than a human being at this point. And Barum also notes that devils don't feel sadness, which is something that Denji had thought in part 1 after Himeno died. And there is a bit of a plot hole inconsistency in the next scene, in that Nobana doesn't recognize who Barum is, even though when Barum first showed up, the two seemed like they know each other. Barum addressed Nobana by his name, and Nobana responded, so it's a little weird. I think it's like an oversight on Fujimoto's part. Probably. But anyways, it's probably just an excuse for Haruka to reiterate who Barum is for the reader's sake, because not the story right now is a bit confusing, and not every reader is kept up to the latest ongoings. But anyways, Denji sees Barum. He breaks his chopstick so that he can make it sharper, so he can stab Barum in the neck. He's a man of action. But Barum saves himself from getting stabbed in the neck by promising to take Denji to Nayuta. He gets Denji to sit. Denji quells his anger and sits. However, Denji isn't really playing with Barum like that. He gets straight to the point and asks him where Nayuta is. Barum reveals that the public safety is surrounded their sushi place, and they will be dismembered and captured after their meal. And he promised Denji to let him see Nayuta if he gets him out of there. And the chapter ends with Barum offering Denji a tamago nigiri. And from last week, I mentioned that tamago sushi is usually what a usually what you order from a sushi shop if you want to test the chef's skills. So in this instance, it would be Denji accepting the tamago sushi from Barum to read his intentions, to read what he truly wants. And it's also written in the chapter ending note that what that says is like if you're a connoisseur, you might want to start with tamago. And it's also like a double, triple meaning at this point because tamago can also be your balls. Because king tama in Japanese is your testicles, your balls. So, and recently Denji had a incident with his balls. So there is multiple layers of meanings here. Ba-ba-ba. But anyways, so I guess other things to know about Barum is that we gotta remember he's working with Fami. So the fact that the two didn't acknowledge each other in the sushi shop is pretty suspicious. Well, their relationship is suspicious to begin with. So we have to consider that maybe Fami got him to be here, or vice versa. This Fami was also the one who suggested the sushi shop. There's also his promise of, or his claim of having Nayuta. In that, first of all, he didn't promise to take Denji to Nayuta alive. He never specified that Nayuta is alive. He only said that he will take Denji to Nayuta. And I'm also a bit skeptical of his claims of having Nayuta alive because last we saw Barum, he was begging the crowd to kill Nayuta for him. He didn't seem like he was trying to get her alive at all. At all, sorry, my throat not doing too good. And then there's also the fact that he kind of just walked into the sushi restaurant without being stopped by the public safety. Because he said that the public safety had the place surrounded. But usually we would see, members of the public safety surrounding the building. Instead, we get this panel where we don't really see anyone here. So I'm also a bit, I don't know if I believe him when he says that. And if they were, I don't think they would let Barum just walk in there, like, unharmed. So I think there are some inconsistencies in what Barum's telling Denji and what we, the viewers, are seeing. But yeah, otherwise, that's about it for this chapter. Yeah, so there's going to be a chapter next week as well. And if you're in Japan, there's also the movie release of Look Back on Friday. I'm not sure if that's coming to overseas at any point, but if you want to support Fujimoto, I think that would be a pretty cool thing that you could do if you're in Japan. I don't know when that movie's coming out in America. Yeah, that's gonna be all from me